3 or
Yeah, I guess we have.
yeah.
I know it's Italy.
We're waiting on you. Morning, everyone. Please join the salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. In the signature folder, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 10th meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. And we have 3 sets of non-public minutes for May 10th. I make a motion to approve them.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. And I make a motion to approve the tax warrant in the amount of $2,398,881.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. We also signed a solar exemption on Rumney Hill Road. And we signed a letter to the treasurer regarding the what do they call that?
ACH approval.
Yeah, the ACH. What's ACH stand for?
Automated clearinghouse
Oh, all right.
Yes.
Thank you.
for direct deposit.
Yeah, for the direct deposit. Yeah, I knew it was for direct deposit. I just didn't know what ACH meant. I make a motion to approve the manifest in the amount of $312,297.61.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. And school payment, if you were wondering.
Wow.
In the mail folder, we had an approval of a timber harvest by the New Hampshire DES. So, administrative comments.
The audit went really well last week. We have a couple things to follow up on, which is not unusual. And on the properties on Bailey Road for the easements, I need to follow up with the property owner that Chuck met with a couple weeks ago. The other person is deceased, and I'm trying to find out who is the executor of the estate. And call his sister who has a budding property, and I've now sent her a letter because I'm not getting answers. Is
And they're on Mass, right?
New York,
New York.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so I'm working on that one. And I learned more last week about property owners being able to purchase back property that the town owns, and you need to send them a notice within 90 days of offering it for sale, so I cannot run that advertisement. And reaching out to the property owner on Ironworks Road, he is interested in buying it back, so I sent him the required certified letter yesterday. And then he has 30 days to respond to that, and then 30 days to say he's going to have intent to pay it, the taxes. So I should inform the a butter that's interested in purchasing it of the process.
So the property owner wasn't deceased after all.
No,
Okay,
that one wasn't.
that's what we were told. So
The certified letter that came back last year when I talked to the gentleman, it went to his Florida address, and he only goes to Florida from January to May. And for some reason, the post office didn't forward it.
okay.
So that was the issue there. Yeah, hopefully we're going to be all set with the direct deposit. And I sent you all an email yesterday of getting W-9, so that was just kind of a general out there because we've had a few issues where we've tried to follow up and make sure we have everything prior to writing checks.
Is that the standard form that's printed off just the IRS website?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it is, yeah. And it's like herding cats to have everyone to meet Carol Vista's request to have a meeting in the modula. So that's now happening on the 24th, the evening of 24th. And the silo's gone. Thank you, thank you, Lenny, for coming.
And now we gotta
today.
share that.
So that was my coordination. My prioritization for the coming week is follow up with the auditors and get the things that I talked about all set. And I'm helping Chief Duchesne write an advertisement for a secretary. That's it. That's all I have.
Okay, speaking of silo, everybody that goes out there, watch your step till we get the bolts cut off, sticking up in the cement. Would have done it Sunday, but it started pouring about a half an hour before we were done. Everybody got pretty wet. Yeah, it was nice.
Maybe we could, how high are they?
No, they're varied heights. So,
And
I
then,
wonder if we could put a
Well,
bucket or something over. it.
no, there's
six
like 8
of
of
them.
them.
you know, grind them off a sawzall or something.
Yeah.
Okay, Vicky, you got anything?
I guess we're gonna talk later about it, the transfer station.
We can talk about it now.
Okay. I guess that, transfer station had an overload of demos and stuff, and it's to a point where they have nowhere to put it, and I guess Audrey called to have them come and bring more dumpsters or take away or whatever, and they couldn't do it till Friday, was it? I think Friday.
Yeah,
So, we're talking maybe about closing and not having the transfer station open Wednesday because we don't have the capacity to put the stuff, so.
So
I don't know what
in the
you-
past, when we've done that, Vicky, we just tell the people coming in with demo that they can't leave the demo.
It's everything.
But I think it's everything, it's
Everything is full?
everything.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
compactors, and- yeah, he called in both compactors and 3
Yeah.
demos, and metal's gonna have to go too, but,
Yeah, we get a call from Meadows.
so they just got no place to put any.
And
We don't
then-
know when they're coming. do we?
They're gonna try today, tomorrow, but guaranteed.
But you
Friday.
can't guarantee, yeah.
Yeah, the last email was they're trying to get 2 boxes hauled tomorrow and Wednesday, but they say the overflow box will have to wait till Friday. So it all depends on waste management, whether they're open or closed.
It's almost
Probably
like,
won't know till tomorrow.
So if they don't show up, then we'll just put something on the town website saying no, and we'll feel. the
Yeah,
call.
sign on.
is there a set time, like a 24-hour or whatever, to let people know that? I mean, I think it's just only fair to let
Well, we
the
won't
public
know.
We
know.
won't know until,
Till
they can do
morning.
it right up till late in the afternoon.
I mean,
I
if
know.
they can get there tomorrow
It's the
morning,
next day.
it's good, but we won't know that.
Well, he might be there today, 'cause this email was dated yesterday,
Yeah.
so they're gonna try to get there today.
Mm.
So I don't know if you wanna swing by on your way out of the meeting, give me a
Yeah.
call. But if they haven't picked it up today, then do you wanna,
Well, they still get tomorrow morning,
Yeah.
so.
If they're empty, or they're closed, we'll never hear the end of it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure if Mark gets there, if they're empty, he'll be open.
I know, but that doesn't prevent people from heading that way, and then they, you know.
how
We
you
don't have a
gonna-
choice. I mean, there's no
how you
easy way
gonna do
around
it?
it.
Yeah,
I guess they also suggested doing a schedule pickup thing, kind of, you know, so I don't know how you guys feel about that.
well, it's something that we can have a conversation, but I think Mark should be
involved
included in
it.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's basically what she was saying in her scheduling is basically what Mark does about every 2 weeks on the compactors. And on call on
I
the
don't think
demos.
a schedule would prevent something like this. They don't
Well,
know.
my question is, if we do a schedule and then we get a situation like this, will they come out or will they stick to the schedule?
Yeah,
That's true too, yeah,
And we don't want that to happen.
no,
I mean, it's May and again at the end of the summer. There's 2 time periods when we get huge amounts of extra
so
stuff.
maybe, and probably people for Memorial Weekend
Mhm.
are cleaning up around, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. So maybe each year around this time, and what's the other time that it happens?
Right after,
Fall.
right after Columbus
Yeah.
Day,
Okay, that we might try to have extra.
month of September.
I think if we scheduled it, then the drivers would be ready. Right now, the drivers aren't available to be here. So if it's scheduled,
Well, I'm okay with the
Yeah.
scheduling, but if we have a heavy period like we got right now, we know we're gonna have again in the fall. If we're on a schedule, will they stick to the schedule, which means we could be down for 2 to 3 days?
oh, we can still call and change it. Yeah,
Are you sure?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she says we can call. and
even with a
cancel it.
schedule, if they don't have the drivers.
Well, I was gonna
Not
say,
gonna
because
make
it's a
any
COVID problem for them right now.
Everybody's got driver shortages.
Right, but if you call Sunday for a pickup before Wednesday, you're gonna be less likely to get it than if you're already scheduled for Tuesday, because they're doing the already scheduled people, and that's their problem right now.
But we've had situations too, where we have light weekends. And I, you know.
Yeah,
if we
and she
end up-
says if it's like.
If we end up with a half
Yeah.
load, we're paying the full transportation costs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Mark should be included in this conversation.
Okay.
We'll try and get him in one day.
We'll be here tomorrow.
That's it?
Yeah.
Chuck?
So last week, I sat in on one of the town court cases in Superior Court for an afternoon. I attended Maria Doherty's funeral on behalf of the town office on Friday. Chris Garcia built the second beaver deceiver to put on Townhouse Road and has physically attached both of the ones we have out there right now, so it'll make it harder for anything to be removed. Mike Stevens, the trapper, texted me last night. He removed over 80% of the 2 dams that below Snow Road Bridge. There's one that's about 20 feet across, there's another one about 35 feet across, so he's blown them. He literally ripped them apart. The water level's down probably a foot this morning, so just overnight, it's down quite a bit. Over the last week and weekend, myself and the chair of the Carroll County Broadband Commission drafted an RFP for the communication Carroll County Broadband District Planning Committee organizational RFP and draft bylaws. Historic Town Hall project LCHIP letter of intent was sent yesterday. The grant request is going to be $155,000, which would give us a budget in phase 2 of $310,000. And we'll take any donations that are charitable. We're still about 35 grand short for that goal amount, and we have till November to raise that 35. Chris Garcia has been working diligently on his volunteer basis to obtain a slew of contractor proposals for phase 2. One of the requirements for LCHIP this year and moving forward is every item that we put down that we need to fix or restore or rehab, we have to have 2 contractor proposals minimum for each of those items. So he's got like 2 or 3 dozen proposals going on right now. The Historic Town Hall project Moose Plate grant letter of intent was approved, so now we're doing the application for 10 grand. I started an initial conversation with Mike Cahalan. The state has notified us that their grant opportunity is about to be open for Bailey Road Bridge. So we're gonna work on that this week. The Historic Town Hall project monthly meeting is tomorrow night, Wednesday night.
the 18th, 6 p.m. at the library. So anybody that wants to come and figure out or learn what's going on and what has been going on with the entire project can do so. And learn about the status of the powder post beetle repair job that will be coming into play in September. There is a plant sale from the Friends of the Library. It's a raffle draft. Tickets are $1 a piece, 6 for $5. It is a Gardener's Delight wheelbarrow raffle. The drawing will be on Saturday, the 28th. I think that's Saturday, 20, yep, Saturday, the 28th. At the Preservation Society, and the cart is part of the gig, and there's a slew of stuff that's been donated, and the value is over $250 at this point in time. So if anybody wants tickets before they leave today, I just happen to have some. The direct deposit forms, are you individually handling those out for us to sign, or how are we gonna, how's that gonna work?
The employees received a memo and a form last week.
I
And
didn't
then,
get one.
and then as we do the elected officials, we'll include one in your. envelope.
Gotcha. Okay,
I've
good.
Not done the elected.
Thank you. And last item, Audrey, you forwarded a opportunity with a gopher grant to us the other day. And I know you forwarded it out to the police and the fire department. We can get up to $50,000 for safety equipment and emergency equipment. Besides the police and fire department, we actually have a piece of the historic town hall project that would qualify for that.
Oh,
So if they don't get back to you, I'll apply for the whole 50 grand.
this is probably the third time I've sent it to them, so.
That's what we'll let them respond.
All
But
right,
I'm not
because
gonna
it's a
give them.
deadline, 2 weeks. It's
Yeah,
due
and
in-
if they haven't responded, we're gonna.
Okay,
So we've got a project that'll meet that criteria. We had it for the first time around a year or two ago, but we used the money elsewhere in town for different things. So if we don't use it to these guys, then
okay.
we'll go after it.
Both of the chiefs are delayed today, so I'll ask them to tell me before really the end of the day, because we only have till the first, that's only 3 days to get this thing together.
Okay, and that's it, Lenny, thank you.
That grant, is that the one you sent an email yesterday, culvert grant?
I don't know what grant is that you and Mike are working on,
You know
Chuck.
what that's?
Yeah, I brought you 2 grants a long time ago. One was for the transfer station USDA, which is open now. I believe you're working on that, I think. And the other one is, it is part of the DES program that I reached out before they put all the parameters together, and it's an infrastructure funding grant. It's culvert flood risk assistance grant program.
Sounds like the same thing.
So I was gonna go over just briefly with that, because so I come in to let Chuck know the parameters. We don't have a ton of time, so. But if you want to hear about it in
Yeah.
public comment, I'll.
Okay. A reminder from Deanna, dogs were supposed to be licensed by the end of April. Fines will be assessed soon. She's gonna give us the list, and the police department will take it from there. I'll catch up with you after for the signs, for the road signs.
Okay. Perfect.
And they put some calcium out yesterday. I didn't know that was happening, so.
was covered.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of early, but because when I talked to Ron, he said that the truck wasn't even, he didn't know when they were gonna get past.
Slowed down.
Yeah, so I just thought it was a little early, but can't pick it back up now. I don't know what, I know he did Libby Road and Rumney Hill Road. I don't know what else he did.
I washed off last night.
Yeah. Probably.
Excuse me, Lenny, I did receive 2 calls yesterday on Pine River Road. I guess they started patching them, and one of the callers wanted someone to follow the truck and pound it down more.
Oh.
And both of them wanted to know when it was gonna be finished, so only part of the road is finished.
Yeah, we had David out the other day, coat patching when we could. So. And we just bought more coat packs. So. Yeah, he's been out, but he hasn't gotten everything. So. And I think Ron bought a new grader. I heard, and he's supposed to pick it up today. I don't know if that's true or not. We'll see. It's not a new one. I think it's gonna be new to him, but. Okay. I'll open it up. You can talk about your grant money.
Sure, okay. Yeah, this grant program that they put together, when I originally talked to Ben at DES some months back, had $1.2 million allocated to it. So it's a limited supply of money. And one of the problems we've had with grants before is you put in your request for a certain dollar amount, and typically you can get turned down because you asked for too much and they won't adjust down. Or so this one, bringing that up, they put a ceiling at $400,000 on it, but they will adjust down. So if we put it in and we say we want the whole 400 because of the price of our project, and they say, well, maybe we'll only give you 50 or 75. You don't price yourself out of the competition. But it is due for July 1st, so there is a pretty big rush, Chuck, to get things together, which I would assume that would be all the engineering plans, designs, everything that's a dollar amount that's associated with the bidding and everything. We're probably going to need a lot of information on where we are to date to submit. So I'll be following up to Chuck, I mentioned, to talk to Audrey and get those things. But the assistance that they put here is for replaced outdated, undersized, perched, or degraded culverts, highly susceptible to flooding. So that really targets us. So it's high risk projects like we have, and there's an emphasis on environmental standards and designs and flood resiliency. But we definitely qualify well from what we're at now. It's targeting public ways, primarily crossing natural freshwater, non-tidal. So that's us again. And the money would even pay for like 20% of other things, including engineering designs, permitting, bid construction, all like that. So we can get it for the actual construction, or money we've spent with other firms like NHEB and with DES for permitting. So we've got no later than 4 p.m. on July 1st to get this thing done. And there's a presentation of the Culvert Flood Risk Grant Assistance Program that's on some of the documents that everybody's getting circulated. So it'd give us better understanding of what the criteria are in the program. So that's what we'll pursue there. I recommend asking for the world and taking whatever we can get.
So Mike, I know, did you have to originally, when we got involved with one of those first time around, did we have to sign up with a contact person, an email address scenario?
Ultimately, when we put this in, there will be a primary contact.
Okay.
So, and that could probably even establish like a CC thing, hopefully that, we could put maybe, a primary, but 3 people or 3 email addresses, hopefully to keep, this thing moving, because it is a tight window. So beyond that, something Chuck had asked me about prior service to the town, I had been looking in for alternatives with calcium chloride and vendors, because we ran into some crunch stuff before. And there's another company that has just been keeping me informed. So I got this, and I know Chuck asked for this, and there's a copy for you guys here, but it's another company out of Massachusetts, and their price actually went down this year. It's 98 cents per gallon. I didn't follow up, obviously, it's not, my thing here, but you might want to look into some competition. That price point's probably 10 or 20 cents less than what you're paying from the last time I dealt with Allstate. So something to look at, it's another option for you out there.
That was the company.
Yes,
mentioned last week.
yeah, I asked Mike to pull his notes out and get it to us.
Yeah, and that's an April 2022 estimate, price point.
Yeah.
And last thing I'm going to touch on today is when Chuck was doing the raffle tickets, You did say cart, because when you sold them to me, I heard cart.
Cart, C-A-R-T, it's that New England accent thing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not a motorized cart, it's one of those you have to pull and push.
It's all right, I haven't paid you yet.
Mike, was it clear on that grant that it should be for starting this year? Because when I read it yesterday, I thought I saw a date going into next spring.
That's the one thing I have to clarify and making the calls is if this could pay backwards on a project we've got done. Because initially when I talked to Ben at DES, I told him how far we had come with the project, and they hadn't said all the parameters yet. So that's my big question is, will this money, even though we go forward, still come back to us? Because typically what happens in these is, since it's a DES grant with the state, it does go through a process of approvals. You get selected and everything, then it goes to the governor's council to be approved, and that typically happens in October. So with the timeline such as it is, even if it was approved through October, the funding may take longer. It should be in the budget, but if it crosses 2022 to 2023, they rejigger the state's budget, and sometimes that's an issue. So those finer points of the funding has not been explained in what I read. So that's part of what we'll be reaching out to speak directly. Yeah. So before we do all the work and submit everything, we'll get the lay of the ground rules.
Yeah, we'll do a conference call this week.
If it doesn't cover Bailey Road, is there a future? Is there another project coming up?
When Mike originally talked to these guys back 7 or 8 months ago, it was like before they'd even developed the parameters. So he had a discussion with him about getting parameters in there, so we know darn well that Bailey Road fits. We haven't looked beyond that from a bridge standpoint, because we don't have any other plans. So part of it is you gotta have everything ready to go. And we've only got plans for Bailey at this point.
Yeah, just to elaborate on that, when I made contact, they were still in committee on trying to design the parameters for funding, what's going to qualify for a project. I did go into great detail on our project as a qualifier, and it seemed to qualify. The timeline on the state's end kept getting pushed out. So now that we're into July, it's a tight window. I don't think anything's changed. I think we're still a qualifier. And even if the town outlaid the funds, the potential to have some funds come in after the fact is probably still there, but
We'll know more before next week.
yeah, right, absolutely.
Does sound like we're highly qualified.
I'm sorry?
Does sound like we're highly qualified.
This is really tailor-made for us. One of the things, I'm on a list with the state for grants and stuff. I get tons of stuff in just about every category that's out there for municipal governance. But I also have established a number of folks over in Concord and DES and other state locations here. And I've got people there that know of some of the things we've undertook. So I got contacted by a member of DES directly who was involved with some past projects here at the lake. I don't think she would have sent us that information if this didn't seem to fit the criteria, because this is kind of the world that she operates in.
Thanks.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
before the transfer station grant that you had looked into, can you give a little bit of information on that one?
Sure. It's a USDA grant, and it really appeared to be a slam dunk for $50,000, provided you do matching funds. We were still qualifying at 55% of the project up to the $50,000 mark, which would have meant the town needed to pony up about $41,000 to get all that money. And that shouldn't be a problem. You basically have that in your that special revenue account that I worked on before. So we've got a lot of money in there to make the match. The other thing is the USDA. I explained all the things that we have the money. It would require a town meeting vote to free that up. The timeline seemed to
transcend the 2 years that it would take. There was 2 dates, April and December, for filing at the USDA. So you have now until December till things really, get formalized, but you want to be way ahead of that because they say it's been simplified since the bridge grant, but dealing with USDA, the federal government, it's a long road. They ask for tons of information typically, but you would probably look at the designs because they're going to want to know what you have going on. And I had a pretty good design features for our immediate transfer station with roofing and walls and frost walls, the whole bit, some shed up above to replace the rotted out one that's going on, and to take care of some of the existing problems. I brought in folks from waste management, the operations manager over there for the technical stuff, and I had a gal since retired from NRRA who has worked on transfer stations like all over the state. So that was formulated from some of that input. Doesn't mean it can't be amended and other things, featured in there, but you probably want to get your ideas together and put some kind of a draftsman or civil, engineering kind of scope to it so that you've got a good project to present to them. But it really, when I talk to the gentleman, I used to deal with Eric Law, he's the big guy. And there's this other gentleman, John, who's the area manager for this. He loved the idea and the way we've been processing things. And he really seemed excited about funding it. So I think you're a great contender for that one.
Thank you.
And it's a long-term thing too, because you guys have a contract that's gonna come up in a year or two. And prices you should expect those to skyrocket with transfer station fees. So, getting a roofing system over some of your dumpsters that are demos and whatnot, and glass, that's all money long-term. So it's, we might want to take advantage of it. The world's gonna change. It has changed. But your contract was a 5 years, it's gonna run out. You gotta renegotiate.
So,
Yeah.
Okay. We talked about the transfer station, so Kate's not here, so I'll open it up to public comment. If anybody has any. Keep it civil, members, women, children.
I'll try.
Yeah. Chuck.
First thing, I think it's great that we're rehearing. That's what I'm hearing here from the last thing about putting forms in or whatever, or coming up with a plan for the dump instead of just throwing in the pads. And is that what I'm hearing?
Well, we got a long term.
Pads are going in,
long term.
which is a short-term solution.
But
So we
but
need to,
there
we
will
need to
be
have a
long-term
long-term design,
Beautiful,
which
I love it.
may or may not incorporate those pads.
Then this is kind of a more negative thing. It's come to my attention that during the non-publics, there's been employees listening in on what's going on, either from the break room or other places. I've discussed it with both Chuck, who referred me to the chair, and I discussed it with you privately. And I didn't seem to get much of a response, frankly, and I wanted to reiterate how I think this is a real problem. Number one, it's a violation of individuals' rights. Morally wrong, should be something that we think about, obviously. If it isn't breaking rules, then it sure as heck there should be a rule in there that says this isn't supposed to be happening.
Well,
Town.
like I said, when we're sitting in here, I can't see who's in there. So if somebody's in the kitchen, I can't tell.
I think that it's known that there's an issue with the acoustics in here, and that it's easy for voices to follow outside of this room, and things can be done. to prevent that from happening.
We have noise machines that I could make sure we turn on before we go into non-public.
Well, we could also do a policy, put the plastic chain across the door.
Yeah.
When the selectmen are meeting and the
Yeah,
chain
that-
across the door, you can't use the.
I like to interrupt like this, just prior, beginning of the meeting, somebody was in here making coffee. And the noise in there,
With the
we
chain,
were having a hard time hearing you guys.
with the chain across,
So, I mean, it's a good point to put a chain across.
We could just say
We can do
during
that.
meetings, if the chain's across, don't go in.
anyway, I had some thoughts, I don't like to come up with issues without at least thinking it out and maybe coming up with some kind of solution. There's always a change of conference room, you mentioned you could do it out back in the back room, but that brings up the issue of what if somebody's out there, the police or whatever, doing their job during one of the meetings, then you've got no real solution there. My thoughts were,
David, just so you're aware, there's an acoustic problem out there too.
okay. That's kind of what I was saying, yeah. The thoughts I had were more managerial than moving or physically thing, and that would be to invite all the employees into this room. Let them know there's a problem and that it's been observed by many people. And let them know it's against the rules of this board. Whether you've got it in writing or what, you can put it in writing if you need to. And that it's a fireable offense, it should be a fireable offense. And I would recommend that part of that would be to consider having a few rules. For instance, doors closed, not just these doors, but the other doors. The break room shut down for that period of time when the meeting's in session. And employees shouldn't be in the hallway during that time. Those are
Dave, can I
three
ask-
things that are very easy to do. Don't cost anything, but it would at least get people to understand this is not right. We do not condone it. And we do not want it happening any longer. And finally, I'm just going to say this, like the employee records being accessible, not locked up, is another one of those things that can seriously come back and haunt us in the future if nothing's done. So that's my piece there.
Can I just ask you? When we have our non-public and you're out in the hallway there, can you hear us in here?
If we're not talking
Yeah.
amongst ourselves, yes.
You
But
can.
it's not the
'Cause I could
public.
never hear it, but
It's not really the public that's really the concern. It's the going into the break room and sitting in the dark and listening in on the conversation. It's leaving the door open over across the hall and listening that way, that type of thing. So if employees are just understand what the ramifications are and that this is more important than some of the little things we have in here, and I really think it should be addressed.
I appreciate you bringing it up though. Dave.
I agree, can you circulate a memo amongst the building to everybody?
We have team meetings, so
Yeah.
yeah, we'll discuss it.
Okay, thanks.
And then there was one other thing, and this is kind of. I was looking into some of the history of the town. And I came across this time period when the selectmen also limited their public time, i.e. in meetings, the public meetings. And I frankly don't like the idea of limiting them, going to 2 instead of 4. I think I like the more the more we can respond with you guys, the better, as far as I'm concerned. But one thing I did find was that in the one time it happened before, the select board agreed to go to half salaries to compensate for not doing the public stuff as often. Now, they did just as much of the stuff, I'm assuming, behind the scenes as they always did. But the real key there was that they were not doing the public end of this as much. So I wanted to know what your feelings were about that.
You talking about public meetings?
Going to
I'm talking
bi-weekly
about
meetings.
these meetings right
Okay,
here.
I just wanted to make sure.
Because they were gonna go every 2 weeks.
Doesn't mean the workload changes.
No.
The workload's still the same workload. It's just a different meeting time.
I'm assuming it was the same for these people. And like I said, that's kind of a precedent set, but I want to know how you feel, all of you.
Where I'm making less than $1.50 an hour right now, or what I'm putting in, I am not looking to
I
reduce my
agree.
salary.
I agree with you there. However, I'm also on planning and budget.
Yep.
And for $500 a year or whatever, $1,500 on the health office. So we're all giving. And I'm not actually asking you to take a break. I'm just asking you to consider it, to think about. Actually, I would prefer to see that we have 4 meetings a month than to see anything like that happen. But in lieu of that decision, if you have actually made it, maybe the town can actually benefit in some way by that decision.
You'll probably see that meeting every week, we have a 2-hour meeting. When we meet every 2 weeks, it's probably gonna be a 4-hour meeting. The workload isn't gonna change. Like Chuck said, I mean, we all do something, like every day of the week, we're doing something for the town, so.
7 days a week.
I know.
I mean, somebody cutting their salary because they felt that they weren't supporting, doing the job that they felt they should have been doing. Well, that happened years ago. That's, the world's changed right now, so. I mean, we're, like Chuck says, we make 38 cents an hour, maybe. So,
And
Well,
the,
I
and the
just saw-
times that you're on phones, the times you're driving around, using your gas.
I
know,
understand
there's
that. I
special
understand that.
meetings
However,
and-
I also would have to say that in budget committee this year, I witnessed requests for budgets to be increased, and those budgets were denied and taken in half or less because of saving money for the town in this time of crisis or need. So I don't know. I thought maybe what was good for the goose might be good for the gander too.
And you know, as a deputy health officer, with your stipend, you could give that back to the town without any problem. We take it.
I have a question for David. What is the time period you went back to?
Henry Spencer time.
I mean, really, what time, was it back in the 80s? Was it back in the 70s? Was it just recent? You're going back in the history.
Early 2000s.
It was when?
Early 2000.
Somewhere right in there.
Early 2000?
Selectmen's salary went from like 8 down to 6, I believe, back then.
I remember we dropped it. Yeah.
The only reason I'm asking is because it just seems like there are so many more issues. I mean, I don't know what the history was then. I'm only in the town a few years, but it just seems to me that every year there's more and more projects and more time being taken by the selectmen for daily work.
Well, that same
was
thing
just
is
why I
going
was
on
asking.
through each of the departments in town.
Okay.
There's no exception just because you're a selectman that I mean, you are doing a lot. There's no doubt about it, and I agree with that, and I disagree with making the town thrive on the backs of people that want to help. I don't think that's a good idea. But like I said, I've seen this same attitude go the other way for a lot of these other boards. And to answer your question, I've never asked for money to do that. I served months as best I could with what we were dealing with without pay. And I don't really need to be paid. As far as giving it back, if you want to not pay me, that's fine, but
No, it's if you don't want it, you can let the office know that they don't need to pay you. I'm not taking it away from you, and I don't think this board will take it away from you. You want to give it back, notify the town.
well, I don't think that,
I donate to his work.
I don't think that asking more of me is really the answer to that.
I don't think we should give it back.
Can I-
If you
can I
want
make
it, go
a
for it.
Darlene and I worked really hard to encourage meetings every other week. It's what the majority of towns do. And the reason for doing that is because having a weekly meeting that sometimes is only 45 minutes to an hour takes us almost as long. And I sincerely feel that the town's gonna get approximately 6 to 7, a full week of administrative time back. So when I make my list of what I'm following up on, there'll be more complete things, because the preparing for the meeting, the minutes takes us quite a bit of time. The same, a lot of it's the bi-weekly payroll and manifest. That's primarily why they meet weekly. And so the things that I know that we can accomplish, keeping up on, keeping the books reconciled, tracking down people for easements, tracking down the RSAs. I believe that we are gonna be more able to assist them and move things forward quicker. So I think the agreement was that we're going to at least try it for 6 months, go to evenings and every other week, and then reassess it. But I really feel like what the town's going to receive is going to be a huge benefit. And so I appreciate them trying it for at least a little while.
So you're saving 5 hours a week by week?
Well-
The two of these between preparing for the meetings plus attending the meetings.
And
That's what approximately.
yeah,
So you're talking about.
I said like 5 days a month, you know, you're gonna get like a whole nother week, a month out of me, you know? When.
Yeah, I mean,
so-
it's by, you still have to prepare it by week, that's the week that's
It's the
off.
same
Right,
amount
and
of
the
rock.
same- the
We
same
have a
week
lot of
that-
projects done.
Oh,
The same if I.
Every week we're doing the manifest,
Right.
the payroll, the
Right.
agenda, the minutes, that's 3 days worth, that's all we do.
Yeah, and so, and
There is a savings. I understand.
it's gonna be huge, and I feel like my skills, on contacts and everything will be better utilized, so. I'm hoping that you'll end up seeing a benefit of. You know, when you say the files in the other room, it's like, when am I gonna do that? Right now, I'm like. To the
Well,
wall.
I guess I'm just not seeing the benefit there.
Uh,
What I am seeing is that employees got pretty good raises this year. Some of your work has been shuffled into different areas of the office. In your raise was pretty substantial, and I'm seeing less and less and less. And I don't see a lot more productivity.
You don't see what goes on in the office on a daily basis. And that's unfortunate. Most people don't.
Right.
But there's more and more stuff that's required by the office to handle. And this new opportunity, as Audrey said, we said it would go for 6 months to try it. So it wasn't automatically saying, hey, we're doing it forever. was try it for 6 months and see if it works.
I'll say this, for me, Audrey and I have been trying to get together to do the used oil planning, and she is so busy. And it's like getting prepared for the next meeting and doing this, making calls, typing up stuff, blah, blah, blah. That it's like, we can't get time together that she isn't so busy that we need to just focus and get this done. And I know she works hard. I see everything she prepared for us, gives it to us to, emails it to us so we can read it beforehand and stuff. It's like, I think she does a wonderful job. I really do. And I think she deserves what she gets. So as you, when you were out there, was in the same seat thinking, well, what do they do? Well, what do they do? Well, now I'm finding out what we do.
I don't know what you've done in the past. I know that I have been on planning and budget committee.
If that's too much for you,
No,
don't.
what I'm saying is it gives me a better feel for what's going on in the town.
Exactly. But if it's overwhelming to you,
No, I don't feel it's overwhelming. to
okay,
me.
well,
How this continues to be turned around and about me. Is this overwhelming to you three?
it's not, it's a lot to it, but it's not overwhelming to me. I'll answer that for myself.
If I understand you, your point you're trying to make is by us meeting every 2 weeks, you want us to cut our pay. Is that what you're getting at?
No, I'm saying that
Well, that's the way I take
precedence
it.
was set before, that this has happened in the past. And I'm asking.
And
you-
why did it happen?
And I'm asking you in a year when virtually every request from any of the different departments has come before the selectman's office and the budget committee, they've been turned down in lieu of a smaller amount. So I'm saying maybe it's time the selectman's office to bid on it.
And what's that about?
Well,
What are you suggesting?
uh,
Cut our pay? Cut everybody's pay? I don't know what you're trying to get at. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, the cutting the salaries of the selectmen is part of that, I would say. Well, I see you're not having any of it, so.
No,
Yeah.
I've already told you how I feel about it. Like,
They didn't get it right last year.
I mean, I forget what year it was that they cut it from 7,
Yeah, it was, we got
down to 5.
5, it went down, then it went back up.
Yeah, and then it went back up 1,000. So it's been 6,000 for,
So what caused that? What was the issue at that time that was happening? That
Mr. Edwards probably knows.
caused that?
Yeah, it was-
When I was in, I didn't cut it, but they cut it from, we was getting 7, and they cut it down to 6.
It was a budget committee. Right?
yeah.
And it's stayed at 6 since, well, for the last 7 years.
So
I think a lot of it was because we did an analysis across all the towns from now.
And I
Effingham was the
can
highest.
yeah, Effingham was the highest paid at one point.
Yeah. So we kind of want to just,
Well, it's not now.
we're not anymore.
No, it's not now.
no, but, you know,
But it's the budget committee's budget. If they feel people are overpaid, it's up to them.
That's true.
Cut it.
That's just a suggestion.
my opinion though, response to Dave, or I can see from back then and my experience and all that. There was a lot of work, that a lot of work, there's with today's regulations and the state requirements, this, and federal requirements and all this stuff, there's a lot more data or work you guys gotta do. versus back then. I mean, you had a lot of work, it's just.
There's a lot more going
It's-
on.
yeah, the paperwork is great.
For example, what does Elaine do? Her title? Treasury. There's a lot more going on there as well. And I saw that budget shot.
Nobody's getting overpaid. If anything, there's a majority of us that are underpaid with the volume of work. I appreciate it, Dave, but quite frankly, our wages are not even competitive in the surrounding towns for the most part. We've been trying to get up to that for the last 4 or 5 years. 4.5 years ago when I started the budget committee. It was starting then to try and get it up to a level where we could be competitive.
How much?
And we're
do
still,
freedom
we're gaining ground, but we're not there yet.
You guys don't know.
How much was it?
Freedom.
I think they get 6,000, correct?
And
What
I
else
think-
we get?
About the
Look
same,
at
it, right?
about the same.
You know what else we get?
Yeah, they're very close.
I think they're about the same too.
Just wondering, because they're about the same size, aren't they?
Yeah, but Freedom has a lot more money than we do.
They got a little like French.
Way more. But as Lenny said, it's the budget committee's budget that goes to town meeting, not the selectmen. So if the budget committee feels that there should be a cut, they have that prerogative.
Well,
I mean, you're on the budget committee.
yeah, I have no intention of bringing that up at the budget committee, but I just thought
No.
I'd let you hear a little
And
bit
budget
of,
committee.
Leo will bring it up.
No, I'm not ready.
Okay, Lawrence, you got something?
Yeah, we're talking about money. Well, we've been taking this able to court. And right now, the legal fees for that, is somewhere around $125,000. Now, I understand it's going back to court again for 2 more days, the 24th and the 25th of this month. That's gonna be another $25,000. And what?
Lawrence, you're making your numbers up. They're way high.
yeah,
Okay, that's
Way
what-
high.
I don't care if it's only $1,000 check. It's still wasting our tax dollars. We're taking this able to court because somebody thinks she's got a crack in her septic tank.
No, she has a septic tank that's not functional. It's different than a crack. It's non-functional.
yeah, you
How can
really
you
don't
have
have
a
these.
septic
They-
tank functional if you don't have running water?
When you cut your pipes, you won't have running water.
That's right.
You were on the board when she washed out Townhouse Road because she left the water running all the
That's
time.
right. That's
The
right.
pipes have been cut since then.
What's that got to do with anything?
Nothing. That's why it's in court.
If you.
That's why it's in court.
And cut your pipe, don't you have that right?
The judge will be the one to decide for us.
This is the height of stupidity.
All right, Lawrence, what's your point? Yeah.
My point is, we've spent $125,000 for some miracle. If the town wins the case, what, the town still lost. They spent $125,000 to get rid of a few junk cars and fix a septic tank that somebody out of Alton says it might have a crack in it. Maybe it don't have a crack in it. The septic tank ain't been used for 3 years. Maybe the water in the tank evaporated down below the outlet.
Maybe,
Yeah, maybe.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
not. Can I just-
My tank, at a time, don't have snow.
Hold on.
Yeah.
This is
So I'm
a,
saying, the selectmen in this room right now should put a stop to taking that to court and wasting our tax dollars. It doesn't matter who wins, the town lost the case, regardless, whether they win or she wins.
okay,
It's a total, it's a waste on our tax dollars. How can the town win anything? Are we gonna take everybody to town to court because they're gonna jump time in their yard and spend this kind of money?
well, I don't know,
Stupidity.
the judge hasn't ruled and I don't know how she's gonna rule.
I don't
So-
care how the judge rules. If the judge rules in the town's favor, the town still lost money.
Yeah, well,
There's-
I know, I can see you're frustrated.
Why are we taking
But
this one?
it's,
You don't have a right.
This is
to
a court case. This is a court case. I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
It's still being recorded.
So was that April coming?
In disguise.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm just saying, we do have to take into consideration the people and what's being paid for all of this.
Correct.
I can understand that side of it, I really can, but I can understand the other side too, so.
And the way I look at it, when the case is moved on, then each side has a decision to make whether they want to appeal it or.
I think too, how long do you have it continue and continue and continue?
Excuse me, I don't know if we should discuss it.
I
I think
right now.
Yeah.
Can can't discuss this.
No.
Stop.
I can discuss this, and I would like to respond.
I don't think you should say anything about it, it's court, it's legal.
Unfortunately, David, I think you just hit a point when you mentioned about money, bringing up the whole money and cutting, and that just kind of triggered something. Then when you're gonna talk about money, let's talk about money. And
I
that
could use some.
attracted to.
I'll tell you how I feel about it. Number one, it's not the town that's spending this money, it's a person that lives in the town.
We
That
can't talk
No,
about money.
we're not talking about it. We're done.
Can't
Not
talk about
talking
it.
Okay.
You're a-
All right, so
Legal.
what's-
This is
Legal.
being recorded and it's a legal case, you can't talk about it.
Nobody else has anything public comment?
No.
Vicky, did you decide about the LRPC?
Yeah, I can't do it, I'm too busy.
Okay,
I got neighborhood watch up to here with stuff right now.
okay. No, you were gonna consider it last week. so-
I am going to tell you that if I have a good response from the bank on this bank check thing, I will be starting a sneaker drive where we are going to collect used sneakers. And I will be sending them in for money, to raise money to get signs for the Effingham Neighborhood Watch, because they're $54 a
What do
sign.
they do with them?
Yeah, what do they do with this?
they recycle.
I think they recycle them. They sent me big bags and you put all the sneakers in it. They have to be in pairs. And then you send them into this company and they send you an email with a check and you print it and go and put it in the bank. But I have to have $54 each for a sign and we have no money. So, and I'm not gonna ask the town for money. We're gonna do this on our own.
Is
But
there
I
a
have-
possibility that this somehow gets down to the dumps, people can make their donations?
I'm thinking setting up a booth at the dump on Saturday, maybe with a table and having people bring the old sneakers. It can be any kind of sneaker or running shoe or anything like that, but
Where does it, where do they go?
they go to a place in Miami or somewhere. And I think they recycle them or they sell them to foreign countries and do something. I don't care what they do with them
Send them
after they
over-
left me.
As long as they
overseas.
send you money for
But
it, okay.
If
It's
the
like used
sneakers
clothes.
are in
Yeah.
pretty decent shape, they give you $7.50 a pair.
I
No,
think
it's
that
not.
means in the box,
No, they said no boxes,
and I think most sneakers you get about a quarter for, but
but it's quarter, adds up.
Wow.
So I'm going to, it was either this or a lollipop drive, and I'm not doing lollipops at the dump, I'm sorry. So I
Follow the
think,
yellow
I
brick
think
road.
sneakers would be a good way to do it. So I'm going to try and do that and get it funded that way.
So will they be allowed to put it in the transfer station? A table or something?
Maybe go over by the
Or
little
is that
used
for
table thing
everything,
out of the
or is
way.
this, just for a little
Maybe,
while?
maybe
Or-
by the
Just a
free
drop
table,
box.
you could just put a sign up.
Oh, we need a swap table.
Yeah.
Boy Scouts usually do a thing as you're going
But
into.
most people. would think
Just
it's
put a
a
little
lot.
sign,
They- they-
Yeah.
sneakers.
I mean, I'll advertise it.
Yeah.
You know,
So
they-
you think
Why not?
doing this
She has
for a few months? So that
I could
people
do it for the
understand
summer.
what's there?
you know, for the summer, because people are getting new stuff for their kids for school. You know, you
Yeah.
throw out the old sneakers, get new ones, kids grow like weeds. So get all their sneakers together in pairs and we'll donate them and get the money for the signs.
It's-
Dave found 8 pairs in his closet last night.
I'm sure, and it's sneakers and shoes or?
Sneakers and running shoes. They gotta be like rubber sneakers,
Oh, rubber sneakers.
you know,
okay.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, something with
Okay.
the rubber band.
Yep,
Storage, where are they gonna be stored? This is all new to me, so.
Lenny, for LRPC, does it have to be a town employee or is it?
No, it can
something-
be a citizen.
Yeah, basically it's anything.
Well, I guess it could be an employee, but you have to be a citizen.
Wow.
our neighborhood watch is up to 165 people so far, and I
Good
think
for
I have
you.
4 street captains so far.
Good.
And you're gonna be one, so I might have 5, because I'm splitting Green Mountain Road up into like 4
Oh,
or 5
really?
people. Yeah. So, and we've already had a couple of reports go in. So pretty soon, it'll be up and running.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? Do you need a non-public, anything?
Yes, sure,
Okay.
employee reputation.
I'll make, it's at 93 2A. And there'll be nothing after that. We can close after that.
Yep.
I make a motion to go into non-public for RSA 91A 2E, is it?
91A:3 2C.
2C.
We're gonna 3 5 and drop them off.
Have a good week.
You too.
All those in favor say aye.
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 2 seconds.
I was bringing some rhubarb cookies actually.